Welcome to the Tomorrow Zone Catalyst podcast. I'm Deborah Rubin. Everyone is chasing innovation. We've got new tools, big plans, bold moves, but often transformation fails before it even begins. And it's not because of technology, but because of what we tend to overlook: misalignments, assumptions, lack of space to think. That's why I wrote Enter the Tomorrow Zone, to help leaders navigate change with clarity, curiosity, and momentum. In this mini-series, we're going to dive into ideas from the book with my Tomorrow Zone teammate, Jenica Berg. You'll hear stories, mindset shifts, and simple ways to turn complexity into progress. So let's get into it.
Welcome to our final episode of our mini-series on Enter the Tomorrow Zone. Today, we explore what happens when teams move from awareness and imagination to real change. Deborah shares how empowered teams don't wait for permission. They step into ownership, adapt in real time, and evolve with purpose. This is about building momentum that lasts. Deb, let's talk about empowerment. What does that word really mean in the context of the Tomorrow Zone shifts?
So the empowerment shift is about shared ownership, and it's about giving people the confidence to lean into the change rather than pulling back. It's how teams can move from friction to momentum by really stepping into genuine, authentic participation. They're a part of something bigger than themselves. And real empowerment is going to invite curiosity and questions and experimentation, not just permission.
You mentioned experimentation, and I know you define that as a leadership skill. Why does that matter now more than ever?
Oh my gosh, it matters so much now more than ever, because we are in a world where we're surrounded by uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And experimentation is a superpower to help you move through that. When you are facing something you've never done before, the only way that you can get through is by learning forward.
Mm-hmm.
We do this as a team at Tomorrow Zone all the time. We're continually testing new ideas and continually evaluating. We actually have a habit of reflection and retrospective, where after just about everything we do, we carve out time to step back and intentionally look at what is working well, what could have been better, what do we want to think about for next time. And so we've been doing this regularly for, I think, 5 years now, ever since you joined me, and intentionally rolling those learnings into the next thing that we do. And so we're continually improving, continually growing and changing. And a lot of that is through experiment.
Yeah.
You know, when teams are safe to test ideas and to learn by doing, they actually accelerate faster than those teams who are waiting for perfection, for perfect knowledge, for perfect conditions. And, you know, adaptability in the midst of uncertainty often determines whether a transformation stalls or actually scales and goes on to succeed. And so as leaders, we need to model learning, not just direct it, especially when we're facing uncertainty or we're facing the messy middle of a big initiative. And so that's why I think experimentation really is not just an activity, but it's a leadership skill.
So what does it look like when a team starts to evolve instead of just trying to manage change?
So when a team starts to evolve, you start to see a shift. They start shifting from asking for permission to taking initiative. This makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Instead of reacting to disruptions, they start leaning in and shaping what's next with intention. And again, you start to see a shift in the language from can we to how can we. That seems so subtle. It seems like such a tiny thing, but that subtle shift takes the limits off of your imagination and your intention. Can we requires permission. how can we, or how might we? That's imagination, that's exploration, that's experimentation. And that expands what feels possible for both individuals and teams.
So, what are some practical ways that leaders can actually create space for learning and iteration, even in high pressure environments?
Well, I think create space is the key.
Yeah.
That's the unlock right there. One of the things that we do at Tomorrow Zone to create that space, we actually build a safe repetition into our workflows so that we can continue to practice and build confidence. We use the retrospectives that I mentioned earlier. That's one way that we're creating space for learning and iteration. And what gets scheduled gets done. Frankly,
Yeah.
it's surprising. I mean, it's so counterintuitive. I was just on a call with someone just this week. They're looking for a tool. I have this problem. What tools would you recommend? And I'm like, actually, this problem can't be solved by tools because this is a behavior and a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no tool that's going to fix that. There's no software that's going to make you do the habit.
Yeah.
And so it can help and it can enhance once you've got the habit.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to ask different questions. So some of the practical ways that you can create space for learning and iteration, we make time. We actually schedule time.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we have a project, we'll actually schedule the retrospective as well so that we're not going, oh, we should get to this. We're actually committed to doing it.
Yeah.
We use discovery sessions like our signature Catalyst Sprint experience to help teams to surface new insights and to encourage honest input. We anchor projects and initiatives in the why so that teams stay grounded, even when complexity shows up and threatens to overwhelm the team.
Yeah.
Whenever we can anchor back to why are we doing this, it grounds us and it helps us to make better decisions and take better actions. And so I think that, there are a lot of practical ways that you can do that, even in high pressure environments.
I can say that those retrospectives, they do create that space. There's power in creating that space to, as a team, come together and reflect and think forward. It's amazing. Deb, what's one shift that you've seen in a team or a leader that gave you real hope?
I'm thinking so many stories. So a financial enterprise, they rebuilt their failing transformation initiative by hitting the pause button, getting together and getting honest and empowering real collaboration among their team internally and with their software partner. And it changed everything. After we co-created clear priorities, adoption soared and they were able to thrive. I think that, another one that I heard was we worked with you and you really helped our team to get aligned, and we have stayed aligned so much that we've continued to execute on the roadmap that we created together ever since. And so they're racking up wins over and over and over again. And it just gives me hope because, digital transformation does not have to be traumatic.
Yeah.
People can actually thrive through it when we create the conditions for success. And, you can transform failure into a learning experience and then into progress.
Yeah.
When you make the space for it and you empower your team to do it.
So if someone listening wants to bring this all to life, align, imagine, co-create, empower, and evolve, where should they start?
Well, I would just start with clarity as a launch point. Really, you start by getting honest and getting real about what's working and what's not working. It sounds like the simplest exercise ever, But really, it's about making the space to actually go through that thought process. And it starts with you
Yeah.
as a leader, getting really clear on what's working, what's not, what do I really want, what do I know that I don't want, and and then you can invite your team into the process with curiosity and safety, not just strategy. This is where you're inviting conversation, you're inviting collaboration, finding out what's on their minds, and modeling curiosity through your own actions and behaviors, the questions that you're asking, so that they can join you in creating the vision and shaping the future. Transformation seems like a big, huge thing, but it always begins with small intentional shifts that are repeated over and over with
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deb. If this
Yeah.
series sparked something for you, stay connected. A landing page for the book is coming soon, and we'd love to hear how you're bringing these ideas to life in your world.
To our listeners, thank you for listening in. If something in this episode stirred you, I encourage you to pause and follow that stirring. Sometimes transformation just starts with a question and the courage to explore it. This mini-series is just a glimpse into some of the ideas in my book, Enter the Tomorrow Zone, which is coming out in 2026. To stay connected with us, you can follow us on LinkedIn and visit tomorrowzone.io for updates and ideas to fuel your next move. Until next time, we encourage you to stay curious and choose to make awesome happen.